Hey everyone, welcome back. The season is drawing to an end, and because of that, I wanted to use a very fun Pokemon here today. Shadow Dragonite is one of my favorite Pokemon to use when I just want to go all-out offense in the Open Great League. The best thing about this team, too, is I use Clodsire, which is going to be very strong in the next season, trying out the Poison Sting moveset, and also Water Gun Lantern. These two Pokemon will probably be pretty useful next season. Lantern maybe not as much, but Clodsire definitely will be, and also I think Shadow Dragonite could have played next season as long as you avoid the fairies. Let's take a look at the battles and see what Shadow Dragonite can do. Alright, heading into game number 1, Shadow Dragonite in the lead against Wigglytuff, probably one of the worst leads we could see, but Clodsire is generally a pretty safe swap here. Unfortunately, they have a Shadow Feraligatr. I was hoping it was a Bastiodon and a Shadow Victory Bell in the back. If that is the case, then Clodsire actually has a lot of play into that lineup, but no, we have the Shadow Feraligatr. This matchup is likely going to be very common next season, and the way this plays out is in the 0 and 1 shield matchup, Clodsire can put in a lot of work, but in the 2 shield, unfortunately, they can kind of 2 shield through you, land 1 Hydro Cannon, and Shadow Claw you all the way down. So the best thing you can really do here is try to go for shield advantage. I'm going to no-shield this Hydro Cannon. I do survive it, just barely, but I will be in Shadow Claw downrange. I reach the Earthquake. I don't think I could quite get to those 2 Stone Edges. Even if I could, a Stone Edge wouldn't quite knock out this Shadow Feraligatr, so landing the Earthquake would have been critical, or just getting that shield hopefully is going to be somewhat helpful for us this game. Shadow Dragonite can come in. I think they're probably going to go for a Crunch or an Ice Beam, because they know there's a Wigglytuff in the back. They just want to get a guaranteed shield here, which it is actually an Ice Beam, and in comes a Bastiodon, a Shadow Bastiodon. This is fantastic. You might think this is a very bad matchup to be in, but I know I actually have some play with my Dragonite at this point. I can go for the superpower, basically knock them out, and water gun them down with our Lantern. Lantern will have a little bit of energy. Depending on how they're going to play this out, there is a small chance Lantern can sweep the backline. What I need to do is I need to land a Thunderbolt here. I need to Thunderbolt that Shadow Feraligatr, and I need to be able to have that energy before they can reach a Hydro Cannon. I also need to make sure I can fast move farm down this Wigglytuff before they can knock me out. It's going to be very close here. What are they going to be able to do? Is this an Icy Wind to try to debuff me? Is it going to be a Disarming Voice? Disarming Voice is reached, and this is very bad. We are so low in health, but we barely get that water gun down before we take that next charm. We reach the Thunderbolt. We can knock out this Shadow Feraligatr, just barely taking game number 1 against the Wigglytuff and Shadow Bastiodon duo. GG's to our opponent. Hopefully you don't see too many more of those leads today. Let's see what we have in the next game here. Shadow Dragonite into the Shadow Feraligatr in the lead. A very strong lead for Dragonite. You do have to shield once, even if it's just a Hydro Cannon. Hydro would almost knock us out. You can tell how much damage they've already done to us. It's not great for our Dragonite, but we have a lot of energy, and they are almost in the red already. They go for the Crunch here, and they actually are going to let us get a full farm down. This is fantastic. Dragonite up energy, as long as you're not into a Fairy type, is going to be very devastating for our opponent. We go for the Dragon Claw here. If I can reach a superpower, we can take both shields with our Dragon type into an Ice type. Let's see what happens. We do reach that superpower. They have to shield this or they're going to lose their entire Alolan Sandslash. Looks like they do end up shielding, and since this is a Powder Snow variant, I know that my Lantern is going to have more play into it, but I actually opt to come in with our Clodsire. This is because I think there's a chance our Lantern could have play into the backline, and I also know an Earthquake will one-shot this, whereas it would be a little bit more awkward for our Lantern to try to take this out, because I'd probably have to take a Drill Run there. Clodsire is much bulkier, and we'll see what they're going to throw. It is just an Ice Punch, not an Earthquake luckily, but they do show their final Pokemon. It is their own Clodsire running Mud Shot. The good thing though, we didn't throw energy against that A-Slash, so I have such a huge energy lead here. I can actually reach 2 moves before they're able to reach a single Earthquake against us. This is amazing because now Clodsire is not going to be aligned on our Lantern. I can survive a single move from that A-Slash onto our Lantern here, and I can go for the Thunderbolt, knock them out, and take the game. They realize that our opponent top left side is, and we can win that next matchup. All right, next game, it is an Empoleon in the lead. Shadow Empoleon, probably one of the most awkward leads for this team. I don't know how I can really win this game unless I try to get shield advantage, maybe somehow. If I can get shield advantage by going for this Dragon Claw, they obviously know it's a Dragon Claw, but they probably want to shield because it's Shadow into Shadow. This would do a lot of damage. They do end up shielding that, and I'm going to hard swap to our Lantern. This is not looking great. They have a Trevenant in the back. A lot of the times you're going to see Dragon types, maybe a Wigglytuff as well with this Pokemon, so this is not looking great for us so far, but if we can maybe get a shield here somehow, if they go for like a greedy farm down, there is a small chance maybe we can get a shield advantage against this Trevenant, but it's not looking great right now. We do throw that Surf. We have another Surf that we can throw right now. If they were good on their counts, they know it's just a Surf. It's not a Thunderbolt. They can probably no-shield this, but I am hoping right now that they shield. They don't. They are very confident in their counts, and unfortunately, they Shadow Claws all the way down, and they get their move off before we can Dragon Breath them down. This is very bad for us right now. We no-shield a Shadow Ball, and it really depends on if there's any play with that final Pokemon. Maybe there's a chance I can win this, but that Empoleon has so much energy, I don't really know. It is actually going to be a Pokemon we have play into in the backline. Unfortunately, Poison Sting does do a little bit less fast when pressure being resisted by this Ghost typing, but we are able to absorb this energy a little bit. Shadow Ball not going to one-shot us or anything with Clodsire, but these counters, these Night Slashes will start adding up, and that Empoleon does have energy left over on it. Earthquake will land. They drained all of our energy, and now they come in with their Shadow Empoleon. I'm going for a Stone Edge in the hopes that this somehow is going to be enough to knock them out. I need to go for a Stone Edge against this, probably a Stone Edge against that Empoleon, and they both would have to be enough to knock out if I want any chance of winning this game. And also these Steel Wings, they're adding up so quickly. I'm already in the red. I don't think I'm going to have enough health, even if I can somehow reach these moves to be able to survive the fast move pressure that these Pokemon have. Hydro Cannon comes through. I have to overfarm perfectly here, but unfortunately they reach a move. If I didn't do that last Poison Sting, I wouldn't have had enough energy to outpace the Annihilate, so I tried to play for my win con, unfortunately just barely not able to do it. GG's to our opponent, one of the worst leads that we could have seen. Alright, Shadow Dragonite, speaking of one of the worst leads we could have seen, into a Dewgong. This is really terrible. Our whole team's actually pretty weak to this, and they come in with a Trevenant. We do have a lot of super effective pressure with both Clodsire and Dragonite in the back against that Dewgong, and we also have Thunderbolt with our Lantern into that, but this is not where our Lantern is going to be wanting to be lined up into. We see the Trevenant is going to be able to absorb all of our energy. Once again, if they do shield this matchup, we might have a little bit of play, but if they just let everything go, if they know that I don't reach this Thunderbolt here, then we are in such a bad spot. I was one water gun away. How confident are they in their counts right now that I did not reach a Thunderbolt? Very confident, apparently. Can I Dragon Breath this down before they reach a move? I hope so. We barely do get the Dragon Breath down. They don't throw that Shadow Ball, and in comes the Dewgong. This is not looking great, but if I can bait them here with a Dragon Claw, I didn't quite reach the superpower, but I don't know how confident they are in this count right now. They do end up shielding that. We are ABA to Ice-type Pokemon with this team. We are weak with both Dragonite and Clodsire, so even though we're in a decent matchup now, having Stone Edge is going to do a lot of damage to us even still. They show their final Pokemon. For some reason, they swap out. If I were them, I probably would have stayed with their Dewgong into our Clodsire for a second, not swapped out into Talonflame just yet, because I can one-shot them. They shield this move as well, making me think that this is very likely going to be a Brave Bird. This would do as much, if not a little bit more damage than they'd be able to do with Dewgong, and at this point, I think I might see a win con this game. I need to be able to clear my debuff that I have on my attack stat, so if they ever throw an Icy Wind before they have 2 loaded, I can swap to D-Knight, clear my debuff, and throw the Stone Edge at this Dewgong to hopefully knock them out. They throw this Icy Wind immediately. They are energy dry right now, so my play, if I can, is swap out to Dragonite into this Ice-type Pokemon. Dragonite is just here to clear the debuff, do a little bit of fast move pressure, do 1 Poison Sting, throw the Stone Edge, and since I cleared the debuff, I think this is going to be enough to knock out this Dewgong here. Stone Edge has been reached and knocks them out, just barely overcoming a Dewgong in the lead. Very terrible lead for us to see, but I guess Dragonite and our Clodsire barely able to pull that one back. Okay, next lead, it is a Whiscash. Very good lead for us this time, but they Safe Swap and Annihilate. You might expect this to be a very good position to be in, but Annihilate, it outpaces us to these Night Slashes. They can take 2 shields from us if they want, and they do just go straight Night Slash here. I need my Dragonite alive so I can take out that Whiscash as well, and this is looking kind of awkward because I'm getting a lot of counter damage on me, and at this point I want to save my Dragonite if I can. I catch a Night Slash on our Clodsire. If I can go for a full Poison Sting down, we're going to be in a decent spot because we can start throwing Earthquakes against that Whiscash, but this is still so very awkward for us right now. I don't know how I'm going to take out that Whiscash if they can reach a lot of energy. If they get like a full farm down against our Clodsire with their Whiscash, they'll have so much energy that they can probably start spamming Scalds, and Scalds, even though they're resisted, will do a massive amount of damage to our Dragonite. We do reach this Earthquake here. I think I can reach a second at this point if they don't want to throw energy before I get to there. It looks like we do reach the Earthquake. They're just going for a full farm down at this point. Can I reach another Earthquake before they can farm us down? If I can, then we're going to be in a decent spot still, but if I can't, if I can only get a Stone Edge, which it looks like Stone Edge is the only move I can reach right now, this is not going to do anywhere near as much damage. They get a full farm down, they have 100 energy, and now we have a D-Knight that's almost in the range where a Scald could knock us out. I could try to shield this, but I'm going to no-shield, hoping that I can survive enough here to make it so I can get to a move, but no, they could Mudshot us down at that point. I have to come in with our Lantern, probably take a Mud Bomb. They're at 2 Mud Bombs right now. I can't Water Gun them down just in time before they get to their 2 moves. I think I have to hope at this point that it's going to be a Skarmory in the back. That's probably our only win condition at this point. Whiscash Garn, though, is very common. Is that what it's going to be? It is a Skarmory, but with that said, we are so low. We are almost in Brave Bird range. I think I need to throw either 2 Surfs here or go for the Thunderbolt after a Brave Bird if I want to have a chance to knock them out. What move are they throwing? If this is a Sky Tap, we live. If it's a Brave Bird, we barely live. We have the Thunderbolt. We are almost at the Thunderbolt plus the Surf at this point, so I think I can either fast move down that Whiscash or throw the Surf to take this game. Just barely taking the win on a game where, honestly, we were in such a good spot the whole time, but it was so close because our opponent managed their energy almost perfectly. GG's to them. Let's see what we can do with Dragonite in the next match. Okay, Shadow Dragonite lead into the Sableye, a very neutral matchup here, but I think actually Shadow Dragonite is just so offensive. If I shield once, I can farm them all the way down here, which is fantastic news for us, but they save swap their Azu. I'm going to overfarm a ton of energy and then come in with our Lantern. Maybe I could have swapped out a little bit sooner if I wanted to guarantee this matchup, but I feel like at this point they're probably just going to let their Azu go. I have so much energy on my Dragonite as well. There's not a lot that wants to take almost 2 moves, or 2 superpowers that is, from our Dragonite. I almost have 3 Dragon Claws as well. They throw a second Polywrath. I can easily survive this. Unfortunately, since we are running this Water Gun moveset, we don't have anywhere near as much fast move pressure, and we do generate energy a little bit slower, making this matchup slightly more difficult to secure for this Lantern. But we can start throwing these moves, get shields down, and shields down, there's not a lot that can really take us out here in this matchup. We reach the Thunderbolt, not before they reach their Polywrath, though. This is very uncomfortable because I don't want to shield this. I know they can probably bubble us down if they shield their next Thunderbolt, which at this point it seems like they might actually be trying to go for. Thunderbolt will be reached. Are they going to shield it? At this point, I would assume so. Yeah, they are double shielding their Azu. This is very awkward for us. I might be able to reach the Surf just barely at the last second we do, but this move is not going to help us out too much. I could still knock them out with an Earthquake or a Stone Edge at this point, but that is so bad for us to see with so much energy on this Azu. There's a chance it's running Hydro Pump. That would do a lot of damage to Clodsire. Ice Beam is still super effective. It does a lot less, though, so we're more than happy to take that move and reach his Stone Edge. They do get another Ice Beam, though, unfortunately, right before we get our move. This is not the best situation to be in, but keep in mind, we have a lot of energy on our Dragonite. They also expend a lot of energy from the Sableye onto our Clodsire right now. We have energy on D-Knight, so I just want to not take any more Shadow Claw damage if I can. Azu doesn't have too much fast move pressure, so as long as the final Pokemon isn't something with a lot of fast move pressure into D-Knight, there is a good chance we can still win this game, despite almost being knocked out right now. What do they have as their final Pokemon? Unfortunately, it's going to be a Skarmory that has a ton of fast move pressure here against our Dragonite. Not only fast move pressure, but they can probably survive 2 moves. Superpower is a very powerful move, but after debuffing my attack stat, I think that they're just barely going to survive this. Even if they didn't, they could bubble us down at this point, barely taking the win against us there. Unfortunately, Dragonite had a ton of energy, but almost nowhere for it to go there against an Azu and a Skarmory. GG's to our opponent. They played that very well. Alright, Dragonite into Dragonair. This is an extremely annoying matchup if you don't reach your move in time, which sometimes Dragonite is not able to reach this move depending on what Dragonair you're fighting. If I don't get this move off, I'm in a lot of trouble because they can go for a lot of energy in the backline with this Dragonair after this farm down, and they can actually not only have that, but they also wouldn't have shielded that move if I didn't get that Dragon Claw off. So at least I get shield advantage this game. I can Water Gun this down before they're able to reach a second Body Slam, which is nice, but we're already at half health here. They bring in a Wigglytuff, and at this point, I just have to think, why would they bring in a Wigglytuff instead of anything else right now? It is probably going to be a Pokemon like a Bastiodon in the back. If that is the case, then we are in such a good spot having Clodsire as our final Pokemon. For some reason, they shield a Thunderbolt of all things there. Not exactly what I wanted to see, because I did want that damage. It would have been really nice to have that. I probably could have farmed them down pretty easily, but now they can go for Icy Winds before I'm able to reach moves, and if I get debuffed, it's going to be a little bit more uncomfortable to knock out this Wigglytuff. At -1, I don't think this Earthquake is quite enough, and I think I'm not going to be able to Poison Sting them down in time before they can reach another Icy Wind. If I do get double debuffed, that's still fine as long as it's a Bastiodon or something that Clodsire has a decent matchup into in the back. I could also clear these debuffs if I need to. It is the Bastiodon, so even though I am double debuffed, I think I can reach 3 Stone Edges before I get knocked out here, or just reach, well, 3 Earthquakes, not Stone Edges. I don't want to be doing that. But we can reach the Earthquakes, we can clear a debuff as well. Our opponent realizes there's not much for them to do at that point. GG's to them. Alright, the Lickitung lead into Shadow Dragonite. This lead is a thing that's actually kind of annoying for the Dragonite to deal with, because if you don't land a superpower, then Lickitung actually ends up winning the Zero Shield matchup, and a lot of the time, it's just a 50-50 call on if you're going to go straight Dragon Claw to try to win the 2s, or if you're just going to go superpower to try to win the 0s. This game, I think I'm going to go for the superpower, risking this call, making it so I can either one-shot this Licky or guarantee a shield right now. What is our opponent going to do? They let it go, which is fantastic. Our Lantern now gets to avoid this. Now, depending on what's in the back, I want to keep our Dragonite alive. I safe swap my Lantern thinking that they'd instantly swap out to the whatever final Pokemon they might have, but they are staying in this matchup, which is actually kind of annoying. I'd rather have my Clodsire into this. I absorb all of the damage that the Carbink could be throwing one way or another with my Clodsire, whereas it's actually doing a lot of neutral damage to our Lantern here. It's a little bit unfortunate that they're staying in, but we can build up this energy, we can knock them out and make this game a 3-on-1. There's not a lot at this point that could really handle a Lantern, a Clodsire, and a Dragonite. So I think at this point we're still in a decent spot, despite the fact that their Clodsire is not on the card bank. Their final Pokemon is revealed. It is an Annihilate. I want to go for this Surf, probably draw a Shield. If it doesn't get shielded, then maybe this is a little uncomfortable if they can counter down my Ape as well. But they do end up shielding that, not knowing what our backline is. And now they are in a range where an Earthquake will knock them out after a little bit of fast move pressure. I can absorb all of the energy this Annihilate is going to throw. I can go for my Earthquake, and I also have some of my Dragonite left over as well. I can go for my Dragon Claw if I can get it into range of that, or I can just go for this Earthquake, see if it's going to land. They actually baited a Night Slash on that first move there. I know my lose condition at this point is if they Night Slash bait, they get a boost, and then they land a Shadow Ball after the boost, so I'm not going to go for that. I'm going to no-shield these Shadow Balls instead, save my shield for later in the match. They no-shield that, hoping for a Stone Edge, but after that no-shield, I can farm them all the way down with our Dragonite and barely take the win. Right, Shadow Dragonite into a Shadow Poliwrath. Fantastic lead, but we have to keep in mind this thing does have Icy Wind. They could one-shot us with it if they happen to reach it. If they happen to somehow get to 2, that could be a little bit annoying, but look how much damage our Dragon Breath Fast Move Pressure has already done to the Shadow Poliwrath. They're already in the yellow before they've even reached 1 move. We will be debuffed after this, but that's still kind of fine because I think we will be able to Fast Move them all the way down. They're already below half health. Let's see if they're going to stand. They actually do swap out here, which is into an uncomfortable Pokemon. We don't have a hard answer to this, especially once our Dragonite's down. We kind of don't have a great Pokemon to respond to this, but after a superpower lands, I think our Clodsire is actually in a pretty decent spot to sponge energy. We can survive 2 Power Whips, and we can reach an Earthquake to knock them out. This might be kind of in Stone Edge range, plus some Poison Sting Fast Move Pressure, but I don't really want to risk it here. I'd much rather go for the guarantee, go for the Earthquake, because it wouldn't really be that much difference in energy to go for an Earthquake or a Stone Edge, and it's very risky. If they survive that, it could actually be kind of annoying. Going for this Earthquake here, they will get knocked out for sure right now if they end up letting this move go. Are they? And they do. Obviously, Ferrothorn is so low in health, they probably were hoping I'd Stone Edge them. And in comes their final Pokemon, a Diggersby. Okay, ground types in the back are a little bit uncomfortable for both our Lantern and our Clodsire here, which means this could be tricky to deal with, but we do land an Earthquake, which actually does do a sizable amount of damage, despite it not being super effective and despite both of these Pokemon being very bulky. They throw energy. Is it going to be a Fire Punch or a Scorching Sands? Looks like they do end up going for that super effective Scorching Sands attack, and now since this is a Mudshot Diggersby, it's going to be a lot more tricky to see how are we going to win this game. If they don't have access to Hyper Beam, I think I can survive a move still on our Dragonite, but if they do have Hyper Beam, then we need to make sure we keep shields for that just in case. And Dragonite, if I land this move, can probably just fast move through everything else this game. They let that go. They swap to their Poliwrath. Now I just keep tapping my screen. I know I can farm down this Poliwrath. I know I can farm down that Diggersby, just barely taking the win against an incredibly spicy team that is actually just 3 times weak to annihilate for some reason. The next game against a Skeledirge in the lead, a great lead. Our whole team has played into Skeledirge, and then they swap into a Pokemon that our whole team is actually kind of awkward into. Goodra is not exactly the best Pokemon for our entire team to see, mainly because our best answer is Dragonite, and as you can tell, we did not win that matchup too easily there. If this is not running Draco, though, or Power Whip, Lantern can actually get a nice farm down against this. Hopefully only take 1 move here before they can get knocked out. If they can get a second move, it's slightly unfortunate like they do here. Unfortunately, this will do a little bit more damage than I'd be comfortable taking. At this point, I have 2 shields, but I only have my Clodsire and my Lantern, and we see that they come in with a Shadow Quagsire, so despite a very strong lead matchup, this is looking very awkward. We do land that move, though. They obviously didn't really want to throw that move, or to shield that move at that point, because if they did shield that move, they would be down 2 shields to 0, and now I land that attack, or I land the shield there, and now we can start absorbing these moves on Clodsire. Clodsire, very bulky. I think I can survive these attacks decently well, to the point where I might be able to just start shielding up after I tank 1 move, and Clodsire, I can Earthquake that Skeledirge just as well as anything else on my team to knock it out. So if I can Earthquake this, come out of this matchup with enough energy to also go for a move against that Quagsire, there is still maybe a chance I can win this game. Does this Earthquake one-shot? If it does, we instantly win. But no, unfortunately, Poison Sting, since it is not super effective, it's actually resisted damage, they survived that move. And now we have to shield this Shadow Ball up, and I have to go for a full farm down. I don't think that I'm going to be able to reach this Earthquake before they do actually reach an Aqua Tail. So what I'm going to do is I throw the Stone Edge. I'm going to try to fast move them down, get a couple Water Guns in. I just barely get the 3 Water Guns, and now if I can Poison Sting down before they're able to get to another Aqua Tail, there is a good chance I can win this game. Can I? Just barely at the last second, we Poison Sting down the Quagsire. And another one of the worst leads for me to see here, it is the Wigglytuff. Once again, we're going to safe swap Lantern this time just to see how it's going to play out, and they are staying in for a second. I'm going to try to land a Thunderbolt. It would do a lot of damage, or I want to guarantee a shield at this point, because if I get shields down, this Wigglytuff's getting into superpower range. It would be kind of nice at this point if I could land that, but they do end up letting it go and swapping to Lickitung with a ton of energy stored on their Wigglytuff. I can throw this Thunderbolt at this point. It's going to chip them down kind of low, but this is looking kind of uncomfortable. They can build up a lot of energy against our Lantern. They can probably body slam our Dragonite when I come back in with that, because I don't really want to start giving up my Clodsire. I think Clodsire at this point is going to be my win condition this game. It could be a Bastiodon in the back, honestly, with the way they're playing this out. Maybe a Wigglytuff with 2 things weak to fighting in the back. If that is the case, Clodsire is going to have a lot of play. If it's anything else, though, I want to keep it healthy just in case, because I know just how useless my Shadow Dragonite is going to be right now. They do actually get to a second move before I reach my first Dragon Claw. This is kind of fine in a way, because I know I can get a shield back if I go for a Dragon Claw against this Wigglytuff, which they do actually hard swap here. So their Lickitung is still alive. We haven't seen the third Pokemon, and I'm going to have to just bank everything on our Clodsire right now. Unfortunately, I do end up catching an Icy Wind. If I would have just stayed in with Dragonite, I guess they would have been fine throwing an Icy Wind against Dragonite, because I think they might have thought my Charm, or that Charm would have KO'd my Dragonite there, but it did not quite. We still get the farm down, but now we're at -1 attack, and we see their final Pokemon. Luckily, we have a lot of energy for this Lantern. It's a Spark Lantern, not Water Gun, but I think we will have to make a catch if we want a chance of winning this game. That's because I do have a lot of energy, but Surf is a very spammy move. They still have a shield, and if they can reach 2 Surfs before I can reach 3 Earthquakes, then I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. I wait a turn, I make sure they don't catch on a Lickitung. My one way I lose this game, if I make a catch, is if they also catch. So I want to make sure a catch does not happen here. I'm going to catch the move right now, right when I would have reached the Stone Edge. They do throw the energy. I have an Earthquake almost loaded. I'm 1 Poison Sting away. I need to make sure that they don't actually catch that attack. I'm going to Overfarm here as well, because I know I need energy for that Lickitung. If they get a Body Slam off before I can reach a Stone Edge, there's a chance they could knock me out there. So Overfarming against a Pokemon that I'm not quite as scared against is going to be critical to winning this game. Stone Edge is now reached. It's going to knock out this Lickitung, and that is a full Clodsire sweep here to finish off this game. GG's to our opponent. Very fun match. Alright, getting into the next game, we have our Dragonite in the lead against, yet again, a Shadow Feraligatr. As I've shown, we can just kind of fast move this thing all the way down, but it is a little bit uncomfortable if they want to just go straight Hydro Cannon and then swap out, because they can get a free shield from our Dragonite. Hydro Cannon probably wouldn't knock us out quite yet, but we'd almost be in range for Shadow Claw, so would finish us off very soon after. In comes a Clodsire. This is not running the Poison Sting fast attack, though, so they have absolutely no fast move pressure into us. They're running Mud Shot, and I don't have a hard answer to a Mud Shot Clodsire, so I think I might just stay in this matchup, go for these Dragon Claws, try to fast move them all the way down here, and try to win the game just by using Dragonite as a very oppressive Pokemon for our opponent to deal with. They do reach a move, but they won't reach a second, so I can shield this up. Double shield my Dragonite. They have not used a single shield yet this game, which is a little bit concerning, but I think Dragonite is still going to be able to put in a lot of work and hopefully win us this match. What are they going to bring in now? Hopefully it's something that I have play into. Hopefully not a huge core breaker for us, for our team. They do bring in their final Pokemon. That is so unfortunate to see. It is a Shadow Alolan Sandslash running the Powder Snow moveset, meaning they can fast move us all the way down. They have super effective damage against our Clodsire, and now our Lantern is going to have to put in a lot of work if we want any chance of winning this game. I'm going to go for the Surf. I need any damage that I can get at this point. Surf will get shielded. That's great to see, because honestly, at this point, I need shields down so I can Stone Edge this this Alolan Sandslash, and then also Stone Edge that Feraligatr later on, and they dump all of their energy into Lantern. I see a win condition this game. Even though they have a Feraligatr and a Shadow Alolan Sandslash against our Clodsire, if I am perfect with my energy management, there is a chance I can Stone Edge both of these before they're able to get to 2 moves. I need to be very on point with my counts. I know I can survive a single move from the Shadow Alolan Sandslash, so as long as they don't catch a move from me, and I can keep my energy almost at maximum, I can definitely win this game. Drill Run will do a lot of damage, but now I know as long as I wait a turn here, I can make sure that catch does not happen. Stone Edge will land against this Alolan Sandslash. They were dry on their Feraligatr when they swapped out, so as long as I can reach a move before 5 Shadow Claws, which I can knock out not only that Alolan Sandslash, but then this Feraligatr, just barely closing out the game once again with our Clodsire. GG's to our opponent. In the new season, when Shadow Feraligatr is everywhere, I think Shadow Dragonite could be one of the few picks that can kind of keep it at bay. It's going to be kind of tough to run with the Fairy Wind buff that we saw, but I think with Clodsires around as well, maybe Fairies won't be as common, and I think this team could actually have a decent amount of play next season. Even with Lantern getting kind of nerfed, there might be still some play for it. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching today's video. I stream Pokemon Go PvP nearly every day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN, so if you want to see this kind of content live, make sure to check me out there. Also, I'm going to upload a lot more to the channel, so if you want to see more content like this, please make sure to subscribe. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.